If you're not getting any job invites on Upwork and you're wondering why, then stick around because I've researched Upwork's ranking algorithm to death so you don't have to, and here is what I found. A lot of freelancers are wondering why they're getting fewer invites than previous years on Upwork or no invites at all, and so they'll head over to Upwork's forum like this gentleman here and ask a question along the lines of this: I want to understand how Upwork ranks a freelancer, what algorithms to use, and also on what basis Upwork recommends profiles of freelancers to clients. I've been asking that question myself, and you probably have as well. So if we scroll down, Joanne, who is a moderator for Upwork, has been so kind as to provide us with an answer. She says, various factors go into search results and results may differ over time, partly to allow more freelancers a chance to be discovered. Okay, so that tells us absolutely nothing. She continues, our search is based on several factors that will continue to evolve. We cannot disclose exactly what makes up the rules for a search order, and those rules are likely to change, so any specific advice we could give you would likely be short-lived. So in other words, they could give you an answer, but that answer would be likely to change as they change the platform to optimize for user experience. Now, there's probably also another reason why Upwork don't want to share how the algorithm works, because it's an open invitation for people to try to game the system. But let's step into Upwork's shoes and try to think like them and the desired outcome they want. They want to make money. How did they make money? They match clients with freelancers. The freelancers they match the clients with have to be really good at what they do, so the clients are satisfied and continue to use the platform. So how does Upwork know whether or not a freelancer is suited for the role? It can look at two types of data. One type is the user-generated data. So that would be your headline, your profile overview, your portfolio, and anything else you can manually plot into Upwork. That could be a great indicator of whether or not you're suited to help the client with their specific challenge. However, there are a lot of bad actors in this gig economy, and it's quite easy to fake your data. I could easily create an Upwork profile claiming to be an A-list copywriter who've made millions and billions of dollars, and then upload some portfolio pieces that might not even be mine. Then what would happen is Upwork would match me with a client looking for a copywriter, and the client would find out the hard way that I don't know what I'm doing, and then they would waste their time and money and probably leave the platform, and that means Upwork would lose money. They don't want that to happen, which is why they look at another set of data, which is platform generated data, and that is data that you have little to no control over. So now we're talking about your job success score, your work history, the type of work you've completed, and the feedback you've received from your clients. That's much more reliable because it's very difficult to fake, and so it stands to reason that Upwork would weigh this a lot more when it's trying to match clients to freelancers. So let's put it to a test. This is my Upwork home screen. I'm going to go into the top right corner here and select talent in the search bar and then write what I am, which is copywriter. And then we'll see what pops up in the search results. Now, you would expect Upwork to come up with the most top-rated freelancer who charges big bucks and has made big bucks in the platform. But what we see instead is a guy who charges $20 an hour, has a job success score of 80%, has made $3,000 on the platform, and doesn't have a work history related to my search, which is interesting because the second result is a guy who charges $125 an hour, and rightfully so, because he has a 96% job success score, has worked 25 jobs related to my search, and has made over $400,000 doing it. So obviously this guy is much more qualified than the top ranking result. So how come the top result is this guy? That's what we need to find out. Now, a piece of advice you might see floating around the internet when it comes to being found on Upwork's organic search results is that you should optimize your skill tags. You should get 15 skills to choose from, and they should be related to what you do. And if you want to add additional skill tags, you can go into your portfolio and add a portfolio item, and then you can see here at the bottom of the description, you can add 5 more skill tags to complement your main 15 skill tags. And that's pretty much what I see with the competitors here: sales copy, copywriting, ad copy, and same thing with the other guy here: copywriting, website copywriting, sales copywriting. Now, another piece of advice you may have heard, maybe from me, is that you should include keywords in your profile to optimize it for search. So obviously, if you're a copywriter, you should include the word copywriter and or copywriting so that your profile appears more relevant to potential clients. Of course, this is not just me regurgitating this tip. It's also other prominent freelancers on Upwork, like for example, this guy who has a YouTube account called Freelance Family Man. I believe he's made something like $700K on the platform and charges $200 an hour. So he's obviously someone who knows his stuff. And he's made a video, which I've watched, where he talks about that you should put the keyword related to your niche in your headline and also pepper it throughout your profile. He's not the only one saying that. There are also other people like Lex DeVille, who's also a copywriter freelancing on Upwork, who's claimed that keyword stuffing has helped him being found in the searches for copywriter, brand copywriter, sales copywriter, email copywriter, and a bunch of other related searches. Now, he made a video where he showed that in real time, so I have good reason to believe him. The problem is that video is from 2021, and as Upwork said, they changed their algorithm regularly, so this might not be valid anymore. So I tried to search for him on Upwork and didn't find him under those keywords anymore, which means that the keyword stuffing probably doesn't work as much as it used to, but he's still ranking, so it could indicate that it still has a small effect. Now I found his Upwork profile here and can see that his headline just says copywriter, which I think is a bit bland. He could probably have been a bit more creative with that. But then you can see he's made a specialized profile which also says copywriter, so that's another way of shoehorning in the same term twice. Then we scroll down to his portfolio. You can see that he's put the word copywriter in front of every single portfolio piece. And if we scroll further down to his employment history, you can see that he's put copywriter and copywriter as his two previous roles. And even further down, you can see his other experiences. He's put copywriter, and to top it all off, he's added copywriters, copywriter, and copywriting and sales copy as the first word of every description. So in other words, he is the king of keyword stuffing. It helped him in 2021. It might be helping him a bit now, but he is not ranking as highly as some of the other freelancers. So the investigation continues. We need some answers to these questions of what works and why it's not necessarily the best freelancers ranking at the top of search results. So I went to the most reliable source of information I could think of, which is of course the Upwork subreddit. And here we have our friend Petra imparting some wisdom. She also likes to leave spicy comments on my content, so I appreciate that. But I found Petra and she seems like a legit freelancer. She has made something like 600K on the platform, so all the more power to her. She says every profile's visibility and search result is rotated, and that is to give new freelancers a chance to be found by clients, supposedly. So that would explain why our friend here, Hamad, is appearing at the top of my search results and not the other guy, Yako, who has much better credentials. Then Petra goes on to say, Upwork's algorithm takes into consideration how good your metrics are and your history successfully working on contracts that match the search. That would make sense because, as we talked about before, platform-generated data should weigh heavier than user-generated data. But if we assume that you're a new freelancer and you don't have any platform-generated data in the form of a client history and a job success score and a badge and reviews, then you have to rely on the user-generated data. And as we learned from Lex, and as we learned from Freelance Family Man, who have tested this stuff, there is a chance that the user-generated data actually works, if not as much as the platform-generated data. But Petra goes on to say, anyone trying to tell you that you should fill up all the available characters of your profile or try keyword stuffing is talking out of their backside. Make of that what you will. So if your user-generated data, like your profile elements, don't weigh as heavily as your platform-generated data, and you don't have any platform-generated data to work with, what do you do? Our friend Petra and another Reddit user have some insights into that as well. Digital Automate, I don't know, says actively applying is a big one I've found. And this would make perfect sense from Upwork's standpoint. They're interested in you spending connects because that makes them money. But it also shows them that you're actively looking for work. So that's why if they want to serve clients who are looking for freelancers with the best possible match, they would start by showing them freelancers who are actually available. And that's exactly what Petra says here as well. But it's not just Redditors who have this opinion. I've also checked out Techadile, who is a Pakistani, I think, YouTuber. I had to watch this with subtitles to get the whole context. Now, he had some pretty compelling data to show that the more he applied for jobs, the more his organic views went up. Not from the clients whose jobs he was applying to, but just in general. And that could indicate that Upwork is actually rewarding active freelancers by exposing them to more clients and searches. So far, so good. You need to be more active on the platform if you want to appear more often in searches. But now we also need to step into the client's shoes. And to that end, I'm going to go to my client account on Upwork and then make the same search as I made before from my freelancer account. So we type in copywriter and then we see what pops up. Now it gets interesting because, as you can see, it's completely different copywriters that are shown in the search results. If you remember, the top result from my freelancer account was a guy with an 80% job success score, whereas now we see here it's 92% job success score, 100% job success score, 100%, and 100%. So the results have improved drastically. Now, why would that be? Our friend Petra from the Upwork subreddit has an answer. She says, placement and client search results are rotated and vary depending on the client's hiring history. And that might explain the discrepancy here, because as a client, I have only hired freelancers with a job success score of over 90%. I would not consider freelancers with a lower job success score. Upwork has picked up on that, so now when I'm searching for new freelancers, it will automatically present me with those who have a higher job success score, so that I'm more likely to hire them and thus pay Upwork money. But there's also something else to take into consideration when you are trying to compete with people for the top spot in the search rankings. And that is, as a client, you might go through all these different candidates and then think, okay, they have different ratings, they have different rates. This guy charges $20 an hour, this one charges $87 an hour. What I'm gonna do then as a client is probably get tired of sifting through freelancer after freelancer on page after page, and I'm just gonna make my own life easier by heading over to the filters here and clicking top rated plus. And then I also have a budget I need to stick to, and instead of looking at freelancers who charge $100 an hour, I might want to cap that at $50 an hour and then see what comes up instead. So that's just a bit of client psychology to let you know that you're not always competing with every single freelancer in your niche on the platform. Actually, you're only competing with those in your tier, let's say. So if you have a top rated plus badge and a job success score of 100 and you have made X amount of money on the platform and your rate is this, that, and the other, then you are in a subcategory within your niche, right? So some businesses are struggling, they don't have a large budget, they might be looking for cheaper freelancers and they would never consider you. So you don't need to worry about appearing in their searches because you won't anyway. You'll be filtered out. And conversely, you don't need to worry about competing with the guy who has 80% job success score if the clients that you're hoping to get noticed by will automatically filter out anyone who has lower than 90%, for example. And on that note, this Medium article made a very good point towards the end where he said the future of Upwork's algorithm is to make the search results more and more relevant to the clients. And by relevance, we're not just talking about rate and history and so on and so forth. We're also talking about some of the keywords and niches we talked about. For example, you could be a writer, which is a broad category, or you could be a copywriter, which is a subcategory or a niche of the writing category. But then you could also be an email copywriter, which is a sub-niche or a niche of a niche. And then you can be an email copywriter who specializes in ConvertKit. That's a tool for sending emails. So now all of a sudden, if you're a client and you go on the platform and you're searching for email copywriter ConvertKit, then if you're the only person who has that in your profile or in your title, guess who's going to rank at the top of the search results, because you're going to be the most relevant person. And of course, if you also pick up jobs in that sub niche, then you'll also have a higher chance of ranking at the very top. So I think that's worth bearing in mind. You have to think about it from the client's point of view. What would the client like to see? What would make your profile and your proposals, for that matter, more relevant to them? And finally, as a little bonus here, the talent search results aren't the only place you can appear, because we have our good old project catalog, which is something I haven't been paying a lot of attention to. It wasn't a thing when I started using Upwork, and I did pretty well without it, but now it's here and a lot of people are using it. If you go in the project catalog, I can then click email copy, and then I'll be treated to a smorgasbord of freelancers who offer that particular service. Now, the interesting part here is if I go to my client account and I type in email copy, so the exact same search term as I used on the project catalog, then I actually see completely different freelancers appear in the talent search results than will appear in the project catalog search results. And that's very interesting, because if you find it hard to rank in the talent search results, you have another chance, and that is to offer a bunch of projects related to your niche that potential clients can then browse and select based on. What's also interesting here is if I click on this guy who is the top ranking freelancer for email copy, then I can go down here and probably find his profile. And if I then scroll down to check his skill tags, I find that ebook writing, creative writing, blog content, financial writing, landing page, copywriting, he hasn't actually put a single skill tag related to emails. In fact, it says top rated blog writer. Then he has a specialized profile that says resume and cover letter writing. Then he has a article and blog writing specialized profile. So actually nothing related to emails. He just chose to offer that as a service on the project catalog. So that means that his user generated data is not really factoring in at all when it comes to ranking on the project catalog. So that's good news. All in all, we can conclude that if you want to be found by potential clients, try to optimize your profile, include some keywords just to be on the safe side, select the right skill set, and then try to be as active as you can on the platform so Upwork registers that you're an active user, you're spending money, you're looking for work, and then it will match you with the right type of client for you. And make sure you dial in your niche, try to be as specialized as you can without narrowing your scope too much so you can't apply to any work, but then also try to branch out as much as you want to on the project catalog. I think you can offer as many as 20 different services in the project catalog, so go crazy.